Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to Lost in the Wasteland, my weekly interview show where I get to learn a little bit more about somebody else's perspective on movies. And joining me for this episode is fellow reviewer Cedric Taylor. Thank you so much for coming on.
Man, a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And I look forward to chatting some movies with you. But before I get into my questions, would you like to shamelessly plug where people can find you, your content, stuff like that?
Well, I'm on YouTube, pretty much all the platforms. It's
Hmm.
CEDtalks 85 or CEDtalks Horror Podcast. And for people that want to dive a little deeper and get involved in the kills, because I am in the horror genre, I have a Ko-Fi page. It's called the Rewind. Yeah,
Okay.
it's and that's where we really just dive deep on some of the kills and the really graphic stuff that you really YouTube won't allow me to show you.
There you go. I'm looking forward to what's it called? It should be coming out within the next 2 weeks, but um In a Violent Nature, that new
Yeah.
slasher film from the perspective of the killer. I remember seeing a trailer for that before a movie. I'm like, this looks creepy as hell. It's like just imagine Jason Voorhees creeping out of the lake and you just follow him and it's just like, well, this is gonna be interesting. So
Ex-
all kinds of interesting things in horror going on right now.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that movie because I mean, it like you said, it reminds you of Jason Voorhees. And then someone told me, hey, it's from the killer's perspective. I'm like, okay, yes, sign me up.
Crazy stuff, and you have stuff like I saw the TV Glow, which is very non-traditional kind of horror. We got Abigail this year. We
Oh yeah,
got
great
The
movie.
Strangers most recently, and we got a new Omen movie that nobody expected them to make, but actually I enjoyed quite a bit, to be perfectly honest. I'm just like, well, that was unexpected. But it's a rich time for horror. There's always new horror films coming out. But I guess just hopping into our questions then, Cedric, I always love to ask this. What's your favorite film?
Well, being a horror guy, most people would expect me to say horror, but it's Talladega Nights by Will Ferrell. I mean, I'm a Will Ferrell fan. Like pretty
Uh,
much anything that guy drops, I'm there. But I swear, Talladega Nights, it was almost as if they made that movie specifically for me.
if I wanted my sons to be picked, I would have named them Dr. Quinn and Medicine Woman.
That's
That movie's so ridiculous. I hadn't watched it in years, and I think I watched it sometime last year, and I still laughed so many times watching this movie. The whole
I
shake and
mean,
bake thing. It
that's that.
just,
I mean, that was my favorite part.
uh, just, I get Adam McKay wants to do some more serious type affair now. But you know what? I miss Anchorman. I miss Step Brothers. I miss the other guys.
Exactly.
I miss Talladega Nights. Like, I would enjoy him going back and making some just straight up comedies with Will Ferrell and John C. Riley if, him and Will Ferrell can make up because it sounds like
Man,
they're not on the same page.
exactly. If you could have a wish, that is my wish in cinema. Like put that
Mhm.
team together and just let the magic happen.
Let the magic happen. Um, it was all over that damn Lakers show winning season, which also I'm so mad at Max for canceling that because I really enjoyed that show. And they're
Me
just
too.
like unexpectedly, nope, this is done after 2 seasons. And yeah, the Lakers won a bunch of NBA championships. I'm like, so we're not gonna see it? But anyway, now, Cedric, what's your earliest memory of going to the movies?
uh I was with my mom. I think I was
Mhm,
maybe in the kindergarten class because
mhm,
I live in a place called Itta Mississippi. Yeah, that's like in the middle of nowhere.
mhm,
And so there's not a lot of theaters around. So
mhm.
I got a chance to go on a field trip with my class, and my mom went along with me, and we saw Beauty and the Beast. Like, so I remember seeing that, and you know, Gaston. I mean, that character. I always wanted to. I love that guy.
You just want to be like Gaston. That's
Exactly.
exactly. Beauty and the Beast is definitely one of my favorite animated movies of all time. And the craziest thing is like that was the first animated movie nominated for Best Picture. It made that much of an impact when that came out. Lost to Silence of the Lambs. What a competition for Best Picture. But no, it's that classic Disney Renaissance era and just so pitch perfect. And you know, was it really mean that that witch turned like a 10-year-old into a giant beast? Yeah, it kind of was. But all those old fairy tales are not exactly the nicest to children. So, it is what it
You're
is,
right.
no matter how much they Disneyfy it. So there you go. But no, that's a great field trip for school. Love that. Kudos to your school for taking you to go see Beauty and the Beast. I've gone on some weird trips for I think it was middle school. They took us to go see Proof for math class,
Oh wow.
which like that movie was barely about math proofs. It was just Gwyneth Paltrow being depressed. It was like no seventh grader wanted to sit and watch that movie, and it did not go well. So I'm like, interesting. My brother's class, they went to go see Beowulf because British lit and stuff. And I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
see, that's more fun than going to watch a depressing movie that's kind of about math. But no, Beauty and the Beast, that's a real cool slash trip to go to the movies. Now, I have a sinking feeling I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. But what's your favorite genre of movies?
Horror. I'm a horror fan,
There you
but
go.
what most people may not know is even though I'm a horror fan, like right up under horror is probably action. Yeah, I'm a big
Nice.
action fan. Yeah,
Action movies are exciting. You could have a good action horror film too.
exactly.
Uh, really work. Certainly, Abigail had plenty of action in it.
Mm, that was a great formula. I loved it.
Oh, I love that. And in a world where we didn't have trailers and you could go cold into a movie, how crazy that movie would have been. That you're
That was
just
the
sitting
thing.
and watching this movie and just like, wait, what's going on?
That was the thing about it. I watched Abigail practically cold because for some reason everybody around me they knew what it was about. I knew only reason I knew what it was slightly was about because there was a movie reviewer. I saw his channel and he told just a little bit, but not much. So I missed all the commercials, and so I got a
No,
chance to see. And so I went in it pretty much cold.
that's how it should have been experienced, to be honest. Because like a lot in many ways that was sold as like, hey, look, it's the vampire ballerina girl movie. And it's just like, I
Oh
wish it
yeah,
wasn't, because then that would have been that much more shocking when that happened. It's like it's
exactly.
good, like 30 minutes into the movie before like stuff starts going sideways, like and you're just like, what the hell's going on here? So good action horror is definitely a lot of fun as well. Now, Cedric, do you have any particular favorite filmmakers?
um, I got quite a few. And they are always the guys, I got a list of them and right here. And there are people that I'm not sure everyone would know about. It's guys like William Lustig, Jim Warnarski, Larry Cohen, and Roger Corman. You know, and I
Rest in
can't forget
peace.
about Adam Rifkin,
Mhm.
or as most people know him as Riff Coogan. But what I love about those guys is it's they take small premises and just world build and with small budgets.
That's it. And there's a whole entire world of film that a lot of people don't watch because the small budget films don't get a whole lot of attention. But if you're a strong filmmaker and you can make it work, you could do a lot of fun things with a small budget. And that's always really gratifying to me is like going in and watching a movie that like I could tell this movie had like $5 to work with, and then they make it work. And it's just like I'm pretty impressed by this. And the you have people like John Carpenter who made something like Halloween for like $100,000, which
Exactly.
it's a lot of money to us, but like for a movie, that's not a ton of money,
Exactly.
and made one of the greatest horror films of all time. It's just like that's the cool thing, and that's why horror is so special. Is like you don't need a ton of money to make a good horror film. You just need a good idea, and you need to know how to scare the crap out of people. And there you go, it works.
Exactly. I mean, man, and I talked to Adam Rifkin, I think it was a few months ago, and I
Mhm,
always told him, I said, you, because he used the earlier in his career, he was doing a lot of schlocky horror, and
mhm,
but then he started to do a lot of family friendly movies as well. And I told him, like, dude, that was like your sweet spot, and he didn't realize that someone, I guess my age, was such a big fan of his, even knew about his movies.
mhm. Like I watched a movie recently. I'm like, it obviously looked like it was made for like thousands of dollars, not millions of dollars, thousands of dollars. And it was just this silly, family friendly, like alien movie. Like this furball Muppet looking alien just lands on Earth and is up to shenanigans. And it's just like, honestly, I had a pretty fun time. Like, this isn't like earth shattering, but like for 85 minutes and this movie was made for a couple $1,000 probably, like it works. And if you can find that sweet spot, that's pretty cool. Now,
Exactly.
thinking about in front of the camera, do you have
Mhm.
some favorite actors?
Um, as you know, Will Ferrell, but
Mm,
when I'm not using Will Ferrell, and this is when I get a lot of flack from, it's Megan Fox. It's Megan Fox, and I know, not for obvious reasons. I think she's a really good actor. Like, especially when she's in the action and horror genre, she does a good job. And a lot of people are like, oh, Megan Fox can't act, but Till Death, she carried that movie. What
mm.
was the one she did? I think it was a lion or something, trying to chase her in that movie. She pretty much carried that movie.
Well,
Um,
and even when she was still like in that Transformers era of where,
mhm.
Michael Bay was just using her as a piece of meat, basically, like Jennifer's Body, like
Oh yeah,
a lot of people need to give that movie a lot more credit. And like she really did a great job with that. And she's a big part of that
exactly,
movie working. So I just don't think she's really gotten the opportunity to like really show off that she can actually do things because when you're brought into Hollywood and basically you're just told that now you're bend over there, I'm going to take a shot of your ass, and that's
yeah,
basically it. And just like that's not great, and you're not going to get a lot of opportunities like that. And like I'm sure she's certainly not making the kind of money that she was when she was making those kinds of movies, but now at least she's getting the opportunity to have fun acting, and
exactly.
I think that's appreciated, and that I think that's something pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
Now,
man.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, I'm really glad that she's doing more, leaning into her, the things that really work for her, because when she does, she's got a little bit comedic timing.
Mhm. Yeah, I haven't loved all the stuff that she's done recently, but like
Hmm.
I respect the fact that she's able to try things out again. Like I'm a huge action movie fan. I love the first two Expendables movies. That fourth one, I'm just like, I think this needs to like I think it's time to put this one to rest, this franchise. And like, there's barely anything I liked about that movie, and I don't think that script did her any favors because all she
Yeah,
did, like, when they introduced her, she's just this screaming, like, crazed woman. I'm just like, yep, that seems about right what they would do with Megan Fox in this movie.
Exactly.
But like there's those other like smaller films where she's getting to try out some things and find her niche again. Now, what's a film that you feel like you could just watch literally every day?
Batman versus Superman.
Okay.
That is, I mean, I've probably watched that movie well over 20 something times because I don't know, coming up, I always wanted that. Batman versus Superman. Let me see it. And I got it in the comics, you would see it in the maybe the animated but to see it on camera, like real people, like
Mhm.
that was something big for me.
Yeah, it's like I know I have a nice bit of collection of Batman animated films, and
Mhm.
like you do get that in The Dark Knight Returns.
Exactly.
And you get that like all the way at the end of those two movies together, you finally get to see Batman versus Superman. But like obviously things did not work out how I think a lot of people wanted them to in terms of
Exactly.
the DCEU, and Warner Brothers has a big hand in doing that. Nice job. But that was a special moment getting to see Batman fight Superman. And say what you will about the film, that was a cool part of the movie. Like when they
It
actually
was.
threw down, they literally threw everything. He used the kitchen sink. He used a sink at one point to fight. I'm just like, damn, they actually went there. And that's the thing, like I liked Ben Affleck's Batman, and he legitimately was intimidating. Bigger than Superman, which was very interesting. You don't
Yes.
usually see that, except that's what it's supposed to be like in like the comics and stuff like that. But like just seeing Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck go toe to toe in that was pretty cool. And that was certainly something generate a whole generation of people were just chomping at the bit to finally see in a movie.
Exactly. I mean, they're like my favorite two superheroes. Put them together, put them in one movie, and because I can remember when I forgot who's the guy that played the Martian Manhunter in that yeah, in that universe, but they were doing
Yeah.
like a press
Mhm.
when the movie first came out, and he used that Dark Knight line, and I was like, yo, because I was watching it live. And when he did it, I was like, they're not finna do that movie. And it came on the screen. I flipped out.
I'm certainly much more of a Marvel fan than I am DC,
Oh yeah.
but it's hard to argue when DC literally has the two most popular superheroes ever. It's Superman and Batman. Like, arguably at this point in culture, Batman is the most popular superhero because, like,
Yes.
how many how many different versions of Batman we gotten at this point, whether it's animated or live action, and I'm a humongous fan of Matt Reeves, the Batman, and gonna wait until 2046 at this rate for part two to come out. And then we're going to be getting what Bold and Brave. So we're going to get James
Oh
Gunn's
yeah.
version of Batman. So all the Batman, all the Batmen, all of them, so many of them. And I still am so sad we didn't get that Michael Keaton Batman Beyond movie.
Oh man, I was waiting on it. I thought sure we were getting it. I thought we were gonna get it. And when they told me, the DCU was dead,
And
that
they're
was a
just like
sad moment for me.
hard to reset. And it's just like, but can you do that one? Can you like it doesn't have to do it doesn't have to do it anything else. Just do that one. We want that.
Exactly. But I did want to say this about Marvel because I am a Marvel fan as well. And Marvel to me, they just know how to present stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, you have to give them credit. What was that? Like 20 years or something of nothing but just great filmmaking. And then that end game. Wow. Wow.
That they did the unthinkable. And a lot of luck, a lot of talent, a lot of planning. They put it all together and had a once in a lifetime cinematic experience like Endgame happening. That
Man.
they're gonna try to make it happen again with Secret Wars, which like we'll have to see. We're still shaking off COVID and all these delays and everything. I am anxiously awaiting Deadpool and Wolverine in July. So,
Oh yeah,
which
that's gonna be funny.
and as we're recording, tickets came out today. So there you go. There's all the marketing that came out to even just market the fact that the tickets were out. I'm just like, they're going hard with this, and I'm not complaining. Now, Cedric, what's a film that you connect with closely because it relates to another interest of yours?
Yeah. It's actually several movies, but the one movie I wanted to talk about
Mhm.
is Late Night with the Devil. And no,
Okay.
I'm yeah. The reason why that movie just like stuck with me is because I know the people that those movies are based on. Like,
Mhm.
like not only do I know them, I've talked with these people, I've met with some of those people. People, I'm not sure if you're aware of, but there's in that movie, there's like the psychic character, and then there's the guy that was like basically debunking the psychics,
Yeah.
James Randi. You know, if you haven't heard of who James Randi is, look him up. He was like basically going around taking all these fake psychics and just like
Mhm.
debunking all their like material, because the whole premise was if he could perform it, which he let you know that he wasn't psychic, then it was fake. And he would see what they would do, perform it, let people know exactly what he did, and say, okay, now if this person did it legitimately, you
Mhm.
know, then they'll have to prove it to me. And so, and then there was a guy named Uri Geller. I think it was back in the what? I want to say of the 50s, 60s. I'm not sure, but um he was pretty much a magician, or a
Mhm.
mentalist, because he dealt with the mind.
Yep.
But he did these routines where it was like where he could like read people's minds, or he would bend spoons with his mind. And now magicians knew exactly what he was doing, but the world had no idea what he was
Yep.
doing. And with me being a magician and being immersed into that world, and because when you're learning the tricks and trades of and stuff, so you have to learn about those characters. It's part of your history as a magician. And so I got a chance to speak with people like Banachek. You may not know who that is, but
Mhm.
he was a guy, also a mentalist, but he wasn't a fraud. He and his crew like fool scientists that they could be, like was like the real deal. But it was the only to let them know that this is what you had to look out for. So he was like teaching them a lesson. And he
Interesting.
worked with James Randi, and so having to interview these people, talk with these people, met some of these people, I knew exactly where they was going in the movie. So I was like, oh,
Nice.
that's he's acting like Randy. He's acting like Geller or whatever. So that movie there really stuck with me. It's the reason why I enjoyed it, because like, and then the scenery, how they just made everything look authentic,
Mhm.
70s wise. I was like, man, this is right out of my history books.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite horror films from this year, and just one of my favorite films in general is that they really knew how to set up that whole presentation. And it's very true. It's like there's been a lot of people who are like, could do this, I could do that, but it's all a performance. And it's convincing
Exactly.
convincing us that they can do it. And that's what all art is, right? Film is trying to convince us that we're actually watching this story, these people, and feeling these emotions. And, they're just doing it with a little bit more psychic abilities and stuff like that. So that's very interesting. Now, what's a movie character that you feel like you connect with on a personal level?
Hmm. That's a really good question. I would say hmm, that's being
This one
connected with
usually
an
stumps a lot of people.
yeah, I guess it would be Charlie from from Fright Night.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had this, I wouldn't say I thought that the neighbor was a vampire, but there were some things that was going on with with our next door neighbor, and we thought that the neighbor was like up to no good, and I was trying to be the hero and learn more about the neighbor than I should have. And and I guess the character Charlie kind of sticks out to me because the way he just trying to find out, well, is this guy really a vampire? You know, going into the guy's house and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was being a bit and I guess I was trying to do things that I shouldn't have.
We've all had those moments where it's just like committing to something that is just like, oh, is this probably the best idea?
done.
Oh, but it's gonna happen anyway. But there's plenty of movies with like The Burbs or just Rear Window and Suburbia where it's just like something seems suspicious and I have way too much time on my hands. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. And so that's an interesting example. Just like, that neighbor seems like they're up to no good. We're going to get to the bottom of this. I'm glad to hear that they didn't turn out to be a vampire because that would have escalated quickly and that would have been a much more challenging situation. Now, what's a film that you love that you feel like would surprise people?
I can't say it's a film, one film. I think or I would say a subgenre of films.
Okay.
Most people, don't like Lifetime movies. I love Lifetime movies. Lifetime movies, LMN. I think I've watched pretty much their entire library because I watch them. I basically watch a whole bunch of them, and yeah, and I don't. These are not the movies that I review, but they're like comfort movies because they have their bit of drama, suspense,
Mhm.
horror, and so you look at these like these are some good premises. I mean, they have movies where there's like the killer life coach or the killer weatherman, and I kid you not, I'm not making this up. There's actually a
I'm
killer
sure you're
weatherman.
not. So,
you know, and so Lifetime have some premises. I'm like, you know what? Someone else could take these movies and expand on them.
and we get those Lifetime movies instead. Which that's the thing. You could have a great idea, and sometimes we're just gonna lean into it. We're gonna schlock it up and throw it on Lifetime. And having those kinds of movies, and I think it's the same reason why so many people watch so many of those like Hallmark and Netflix Christmas movies too. It's just like you know, it's a certain feeling. Are these the greatest movies out there? No, but like comforting to sit back and watch and have
Exactly.
some fun with. So, okay, I could appreciate that. What was it called where they had that one with Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig that seemed like it was a fake movie, basically, that came out on
Yeah,
Lifetime. I'm trying to remember what it was. Like,
yeah. It was a thriller. Yeah, I forgot the name of it, but it was a
yeah,
thriller.
I remember seeing the trailer for that just being like, is this a real movie? And then it's like Lifetime at the end. I'm like, damn. So I would watch that. I'd go back and try to watch that for sure, because that certainly piqued my interest. Now, my last question for you, Cedric, is what do you love most about movies?
I think I've basically stood on the hill with this one here, and that's I love the stereotypical or better yet, the archetype characters.
Mhm.
Meaning, the as they say, the dumb blonde, the jock, the nerd. And why I love these characters is because you don't have to do a whole lot to explain them. Once you throw them into a movie, everyone knows what this character is about. And I think it's easier to put them in a movie and make it work than explain, maybe the main character who's suffering from depression and, nothing against people that suffer from depression, but not everyone can relate to people that's suffering from depression or some sort of complex character. But when you give them these, I guess, these ready-made characters, they have these backgrounds, you know what they're about. It's easy to follow along.
Absolutely. In some, and it's like it's easy to just be like they're cliches, but you know what? There's a whole history of film built on them, and especially in horror in particular, it's like you have it's why in Cabin of the Woods you have just you have each of those characters, and
Exactly.
they have so much fun with that. It's like seeing Chris Hemsworth as a jock like years. Like this movie sat on a shelf for like 3 years, and it's just like, my God, he's so young. And just being able to see those characters and connect with them on some kind of level. So I could appreciate that. Now, how I always like to wrap up this show is I like to have my guest ask me a question. So, Cedric, what would you like to ask the Wasteland Reviewer?
Man, if the one thing I want to know about is how long did you take to have such a large collection? I see this in all of your videos, and I'm like, this guy has a collection that must have taken, I don't know, maybe what, 30 years or so?
Well, I have been collecting DVDs since they came out.
Wow.
Um, I'm trying to, because I used to have VHS tapes when I was younger, but I'm trying to remember what some of my first DVDs were because I used to do those through the mail DVD clubs
Ah,
because those were a thing, which
exactly.
there's definitely certain people watching this video being like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, you missed out. Where it's like you start the club and it's like you get 5 movies for 1 cent a piece, and then you have to pay like $30 per movie per month because they send you one. Because I remember, I think the first two monthly pick movies was Gosford Park, which I did not care about when I was like 11 when we got that. But now I really love that British shit. Um, and Signs. I remember getting
Oh,
Signs
wow.
and watching that as an 11-year-old and that scaring the crap out of me. And I love Signs. I unabashedly will put Signs up there with Shyamalan's like big three movies between Unbreakable,
Hmm.
Sixth Sense, and Signs. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, the water." It's just like it makes sense in the movie, and it's just like, why would they come to Earth if it has so much water? Then it's just like, well, they were scouts. If you paid attention to everything they were saying in the movie, because like that's one of the interesting things about the film is it's so detailed. But I just remember watching that for the first time, and like that little kid's like, "It's behind," and just the alien walking out from behind the bush, and you're just like, "Nope, nope, I'm good,
I mean, that,
thank you."
yeah, I remember that.
And
I remember
the
seeing that and freaking out.
hand coming out from under the uh
Exactly.
door, and just like the knife, and the one that got me so bad was when they're in the basement and they have the coal shaft and the hand on the son's shoulder. I'm like, no. It's like big baby. Get scared easy watching movies, and Signs got me real bad when I was a kid, and I love that film though, and I'll rewatch it. God, hearing Mel Gibson is like, I'm filled with anger. It's like running around. It's hilarious, and just like Shyamalan really had a streak there of some great films, and then he had a streak of some really bad films, and now it's kind of just like this one might be great, this one might be fun, this might be trash, but it's interesting going in to figure out which one it's going to be. So,
Exactly.
M. Night Shyamalan, I appreciate you. I will never watch After Earth again, though. That was boring as hell. And the less said about the last airbender, the better.
I mean, the guy's he's very creative. I mean,
Yes,
yes.
had a twisted mind though, somewhere in there. Crazy, but no, I've been collecting these movies and like remember particular moments. Like I remember when I was in middle school, my mom getting me the original Rocky
Oh wow.
5 movies on DVD because obviously now there's a sixth Rocky, 3 Creeds, but it was 5 at one point. I had the Indiana Jones trilogy because
Wow.
this was before Kingdom of Crystal Skull came out, and which some people would be like, it's still a trilogy. Um, and getting both the Star Wars trilogies on DVD for the first time, it kind of all just grew from there. And I've replaced some of them with Blu-rays at this point, and I have a decent amount of 4Ks at this point. Oh, getting that Oppenheimer on 4K was great. I'll also be getting Dune Part 2 on 4K,
Oh
watching
wow.
giant worms. Um, but it's been, and it's the thing, it's like I know people who are collectors and will
Mhm.
just collect for the sake of collecting. That's really what my movie collection is. It's like I buy these movies because I like them and I want to rewatch them. And I do. So I've watched all of these at some point. So I make use of them.
So do you just like so do you have like a copy that you never touch, or is it just one copy only?
Oh, I have a couple of movies where I have a couple copies, and that's not because of like I don't think it was on purpose kind of thing, but like case in point, like I have a Kubrick Blu-ray collection, and
Mhm.
it has 2001: A Space Odyssey in it. But I have a beautiful Steelbook 4K
Oh wow.
of 2001: A Space Odyssey because I love that film. I have the whole 4K collection of Lord of the Rings, but they progressively gotten more boring with the actual like cover art and everything because like I remember when like I the first Amazon purchase I made back in 2010 was I bought the Lord of the Rings extended edition trilogy on DVD, and those boxes were beautiful. And then I have the Blu-ray one too, which still looks pretty cool. The 4K one looks boring. I'm just like, so like I still have some of stuff like that. I have like a special box set of like the Ten Commandments, but generally I just have like one copy of all of these where like if I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna watch that. I have that. So
Awesome.
and I'll have them as long as they last. The streaming services can't take them from me.
Long live physical media.
Oh, and it's struggling. It certainly is. I'll never forgive you, Best Buy. You'll never get my business ever again. And then Walmart's like, he's completely lost his mind. I'm reaping all the benefits, and then starts selling a whole bunch of extra physical media. I'm like, for you, Walmart. I think it's the first time I've ever said that, but good for you, Walmart. But I have to see. I'm afraid within like 10 years we won't have physical media anymore. That'll be sad because then we're just up to the whims of digital and stuff like that, and something can just disappear, and it's just like, well, if only I had a copy that I could watch whenever I want, which like also like my internet's not the greatest in my house. And it's a nice feeling where it's just like the internet throws you a middle finger and it's just like, nope, not gonna work today. And I'm like, throw a middle finger back. I'm like, I don't need you to watch a movie.
Bingo. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Then the power goes out, and then I was like, well, touche.
Oh.
Now I don't can't watch it. Then I pick up a book and read that instead. But
Exactly.
no, it's I hope that it's gonna be, and like as long as like I would love if like Criterion can keep up and stay because like at least they're preserving like the artistic and significant films in that kind of way. And also, they're the only ones that are giving us like streaming movies. Because like I do have like A
True.
Marriage Story and Irishman on Criterion. I'm like, thank you, Criterion. So Netflix might be like, nope, you're not gonna physical meet again. Criterion's like, nope, just kidding. Here you go. Um,
You know,
and
I,
just wait for the sales.
I think I was talking to a buddy about this. I told him I think physical media, even if it kind of like just completely tails off, there's gonna always be that, those people that have I guess those specials. And I think the best way to do that and kind of keep physical media alive is is by putting them on flash drives. You know, and I could definitely see, because I think it's easier to make a flash drive, and you can, like, I don't know, package it up pretty well. I can see movie companies doing that.
That'd be interesting. It also would be like, hey, you can't take this from me. I have this on my drive. Until computers are like, nope, we don't take flash drives anymore. It's
Yeah,
all in the
exactly.
cloud. And it's just like, yeah, I was at the tail end of floppy disks being still a thing. And just like, for those who don't know what that is, it's also a storage device, which I work at a college. So, like, I look at a bunch of 18-year-olds. I'm like, you don't even know what a flash drive is, do you? Uh, probably don't.
A lot of them don't. And that's exactly where I work at a college.
There you go. Look at that. Yeah, I work in a tutoring center and it's just like, and I teach too, and it would just be like, you could have your presentation on a flash drive, and you're like, what's a flash drive? It's just like, oh, I've gotten older since when I was in college. Because it's been 10 years since I graduated undergrad. I'm like, technology, man, just changes a lot in 10 years.
It does.
Certainly has changed. Now it's streaming services everywhere, but at least I have my movies. But Cedric, this was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you coming on and chatting some movies.
Oh man, it was a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
And everybody, please go check out CEDtalks, which love the title. Uh, out of love a play on words. But thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.